Good evening. Welcome to the Sanborn Regional School District's deliberative session. Everyone who is able to, please join me to rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're very fortunate this evening that we have a young man who is going to play the national anthem for us, Gabe Edelman. Thank you, Gabe. That was very good. Thank you. So let's start off with introductions. First off, my name is Robert Desmelik. I'm the moderator now. And I'm kind of glad to be doing this in the school district now. And I want to give, I guess, thanks for many years of service to the moderators before me. With us tonight, to my right, is our district clerk, Phyllis Kennedy. And then behind me, Matt Angel, business administrator for the district, Jim O'Shaughnessy, our legal counsel, Tom Ambrose, our superintendent, Jamie Fitzpatrick from the school board, Maura Bashaw from the school board, Tammy Mahoney from the school board, Jim Baker, the vice chair of the school board, Dawn Dutton, chairman of the school board, Heather Ingham from the school board, Pete Broderick, school board, Jim McCarthy, the chair of the budget committee, Vanessa Matthias, the vice chair of the budget committee, Cheryl Gannon from the Budget Committee, Rick Edelman, Budget Committee, Mary Sear from the Budget Committee, Annie Collier from the Budget Committee, and Christine Kosmitsky from the Budget Committee.
He's not here.
Who is not here this evening. So let me just give a couple of remarks to start off. Our job tonight as voters is to discuss and deliberate over, and theoretically at least, if necessary, make amendments to the articles on the warrant. In the first phase, our deliberative session. In the second phase of the meeting, we will vote on those at the polling places in Newton and Kingston in Tuesday, March 8th. So we'll go through the warrant. I'll be reading the warrant in a moment. And obviously this is the time for questions and discussion about the article. For some of the articles, there will be presentations from the school board and budget committee on their aspects of it. And then at the end, we'll wrap up. I'll remind everyone of the locations of the polling places. Newton, I'll do it twice. Newton is the fire station, which is on Merrimack Road, 8 Merrimack Road. In Newton, the polling, in Kingston, the polling place is the old Swayze Gymnasium across from the Bakey School, where I guess it's been for many years. So on to the warrant. Sanborn Regional School District 2022 School District Warrant. To the inhabitants of the Sanborn Regional School District in the towns of Kingston and Newton, qualified to vote in district affairs. This is the first session. It's going to consist of explanation, discussion, and debate of each of the following warrant articles except for Article 1, which is, of course, the election of officers. Warrant articles may be amended subject to some limitations. The first is that warrant articles whose wording is prescribed by law shall not be amended. Warrant articles that are amended shall be placed on the official ballot for a final vote on the main motion. And no warrant shall be amended to eliminate the subject matter of the article, or of course, we cannot add subject matter that was not warned in the warrant. I've already covered the issue of when the second session occurs. So Article 2 will be the first warrant article that will come up for discussion, and albeit briefly, I assume. General acceptance of reports. Shall the reports of school district agents, auditors, committees, or officers chosen be accepted and placed on file? Do we have any questions or discussion regarding this? Seeing none, Article 2 will be on the ballot as presented. Article 3, operating budget. Shall the Sanborn Regional School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amounts set forth on the budget posted with the warrant, or as amended by vote at the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $37,179,463. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $37,232,635, the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Sanborn Regional School District or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. This warrant article does not include appropriations in any other warrant article. It was recommended by the Budget Committee in favor, 8, and opposed 0, recommended by the school board in favor, 6, opposed 1. And the tax impacts, I think, will be covered in the presentations. So I'm going to hand this over to Ms. Gannon, who is going to walk us through the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for attending the first deliberative session of the Sanborn Regional School District. Tonight, we will present the Budget Committee's proposed operating budget for the fiscal year 2022-23. Please save your questions until the end of the presentation. Next slide. The budget process begins with the school board setting goals and the administration developing the budget based on the district's needs and alignment with those goals. That proposed budget is presented to the school board and budget committee, who then follow up questions which are answered by the administration, both in writing and at a public meeting. The school board then deliberates and recommends a budget which is forwarded to the budget committee. The budget committee then deliberates on information from the administration and school board and recommends a budget which they believe meets needs for high-quality education, considers the impact on the taxpayer, and considering upcoming staff contracts. That budget is then presented at the public hearing to get input from the public. That was held this year on January 11th. The Budget Committee then considers public input from the hearing and votes on the budget to be presented to the voters at the first deliberative session, which is where we are tonight. Next slide. The core beliefs and foundations for improving quality education at Sanborn. First, an aligned curriculum. Clearly defined expectations of what students will know and be able to do for each course annually, as well as from year to year. Secondly, academic intervention. This is focused support for students who do not meet the needs, the expectations of the curriculum. Third is implementing best practices of teaching. Teaching with research-based best practices every day in the classroom. And fourth, a culture that's focused on student achievement for the whole child. Everyone in the school district focuses on supporting student academic success through building positive relationships with others. For more information, you can find a document called Portrait of a Graduate on the district website, or you may contact the superintendent's office for a copy. Next slide. The operating budget proposal for fiscal year 2022-23. The current budget this year, 2021-22, is $36,011,926. The proposed budget is $37,179,463. The increase of this proposed budget to the current budget is $1,167,537, which represents a 3.24% increase. The default budget is $37,232,635. That represents an increase to the current budget of $1,220,709, a 3.39% increase. The proposed operating budget is $53,172 less than the default. Next slide. A summary of the major changes in the superintendent's recommended 2022-23 operating budget. An increase related to collective bargaining agreements previously approved by voters. There's an increase of $502,822. There's also an increase in health insurance of $424,805. Retirees are exiting the early retirement program relates to a decrease in $39,574. Special education increase is $345,275. SST Seacoast School of Technology, which is a vocational program our students attend from the high school. Tuition is a decrease of $12,500. There's also a decrease in supplies of $64,006. Other increases are $10,715 for a total increase of $1,167,537. Next slide. For the fiscal year 2022-23, budget funding estimated revenues and many revenue sources. These include the proposed operating budget, $37,179,463. Estimated local revenues are $6,611,680, which is a 17.78% increase. Estimated adequacy aid is $3,302,763, an 8.88% increase. Estimated state and local property tax revenue is $27,265,020, 73.33%. Am I saying this correctly? It's not an increase, it's the portion.
Portion.
Sorry, yes. I was back on the previous slide with the increases. So these are the portions of the budget where the revenues are coming from. So in that the estimated local revenues, there's a breakdown here of the details of the tuition, $4 million. I believe that's from Fremont, attending the high school. Earnings on investments, $5,000. Food service sales, $439,300. Other local sources, $95,206. School building aid, $469,212. Special education aid, $180,000. Child nutrition, state revenue, $7,000. Federal program grants, $324,950. Child nutrition, another federal grant, $130,000. Disabilities programs, $416,000. And use of fund balance, $545,012, which is the total of the estimated local revenues, $6,611,680. Next slide. The default budget. Maura Bashaw, the school board representative to the Budget Committee, will present the information about the default budget.
Calculation of the default budget. Per New Hampshire RSA 40:13-9B, the default budget is calculated as follows. The same appropriations as contained in the operating budget authorized for the previous year, plus or minus the reduced and increased by debt services, contract, and other obligations previously incurred or mandated by law, reduced by one-time expenditures, reduced by salaries and benefits of the positions that have been eliminated in the proposed operating budget. Calculation of the default budget, prior year adopted operating budget. Article 3, operating budget, $35,525,942. Article 4, professional staff collective bargaining agreement, $459,155. Article 6, administrative collective bargaining agreement, $26,829, for a total of $36,011,926, which was the prior year adopted operating budget. Employment contracts and related benefits, professional and support staff, $768,287. Debt services, high school and lease debt service, $1,532. Transportation, bus contract, $26,931. School food service expenditures offset by the food sales, federal and state grant revenue, $23,700. Utilities, communications Comcast, $6,500. Insurance, Primex, $12,076. Special education, mandates by law, $390,683. Before and after school care stipend, positions removed from the operating budget was a decrease of $9,000 for a total of $1,220,709. The prior year adopted $36,011,926,000 plus the debt service contracts and other obligations of $220,709 added together is the default budget of $37,232,635. The estimated tax impact of the default budget, Kingston, is $17.72 per thousand, which is a change of $1.98 as compared to the prior year. For Newton, it is $18.72 per thousand, which is a change of $2.15 as compared to the prior year.
Thank you, Maura. The unexpended funds returned to taxpayers. Every budget is based on best estimates of the amount of revenue that will be received and what things will cost. The district is not allowed to spend any more than what is in the budget. And there are typically funds remaining at the end of the fiscal year. These are funds that were in the budget but were not spent, as well as unanticipated revenue. These funds may be returned to the taxpayer in the form of a reduction in the tax rate. This slide shows historical information about the amounts that have been returned. You will notice that the fiscal years of 2019-20 and 2020-21 are significantly higher than prior years. This is because of the difficulties caused by operating in a pandemic environment. Next slide. Important needs that were not included in this operating budget. Resurfacing of the running track. A high school track requires resurfacing of its rubberized surface, which has been in use since 2006. The current estimate is $76,000, but if this is not addressed, the substructure will further deteriorate and repair costs will increase drastically. Wireless upgrades. The wireless system is essential to the operation of the school district on multiple levels, from the classroom to the administration. The Information Technology Department has done a stellar job repairing and recycling components and equipment. But if an upgrade is not implemented soon, compatible components and equipment will become unusable and result in costly issues, both financially and operationally. The estimate for that is $100,000. Auditorium equipment upgrade, $128,163. High school auditorium, which you're seated in right now, has an audio-visual equipment that is also outdated. Oops. We have a beautiful auditorium, but it operates on equipment from 2012 and earlier. The lighting equipment actually came from the seminary building. In the past, the space has been rented to outside organizations for large-scale events, which generated revenue for the district, which was used for maintenance and repairs. With outdated and unreliable equipment, the potential for rental purposes is limited or may not be feasible. Next slide. Reserve accounts. These are accounts that have been created over the past several years to provide a safety net to avoid the need to divert funds from the operating budget should an unanticipated emergency arise from increased enrollment, damage, repair, or replacement needed to facilities, infrastructure, or equipment. Funds have historically been added to these accounts from the end of the year unexpended fund balance to gradually build up their available balances. The current balances as of 12/31/2021, which is our most updated information, in the Special Education Expendable Trust Fund, $241,211.38. The Capital Improvement Fund, Capital Reserve Fund, $273,071.80. The Unanticipated Educational Expenses Capital Reserve Fund, $200,223.47. The Facilities Use Revolving Fund, $201,333.63. The Contingency Fund, which is according to RSA 198:4-B, $545,012. Next slide. Future considerations. These are some significant events which will occur in the next several years that we need to keep in mind. First, $2.3 million annual high school bond will be paid off in 2024. And that does not reflect in the budget until fiscal year 2025-26. We have aging infrastructure maintenance. The Fremont contract ends in 2026. This could potentially be an enrollment loss of about 174 students and a possible loss of tuition payments of $4 million annually. Sanborn needs to balance improving student outcomes and watch costs to attract and retain students and families. This budget proposal accomplishes both for our district. And the slide you've all been waiting for. The tax impact for a $300,000 house, which is about average these days, for the proposed operating budget, which is $37,179,463. For Kingston would be $5,307, which is an increase of $585. For Newton, for the proposed operating budget, it would be $5,604, an increase of $633. The default budget, which is higher than the operating budget, $37,232,635. The impact for Kingston would be $5,316, an increase of $594. For Newton, $5,616, an increase of $645. Next slide. In summary, the proposed operating budget provides efficient use of funds for the needs of all students at Sanborn. It also fully funds the intervention program. This proposed operating budget was recommended by the Budget Committee with a vote of 8-0. It was recommended by the school board by a vote of 6-1, and school administration also recommends this proposed operating budget. We also have to consider there's a new support staff contract, which is warrant article number 4, which is coming up next. Thank you.
We have one more opportunity for comment from the board, and then we'll turn to the audience. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, the board has asked me to comment on the warrant articles. They're all financial in nature, and I'm the chair of the finance committee, so I got a few comments on each of them. So we just heard the details of the finances from the budget committee, so I won't go through those. Key takeaways really are the increases are driven by the voter-approved staff contracts. Also healthcare cost increases and premium increases and special education increases. So those are the main drivers. When we talk about the operating budget is $53,172 less than the default budget, it means that if the operating budget is defeated at the polls, then the default budget, the budget that will become the ongoing operating budget, would be $53,172 more. I'd also point out, we mentioned in the reserves, a number of different reserves. The total reserves are $915,000, which represent about 2.5% of the budget. And in addition, there's a withheld unexpended funds of $545,000. So there's a total of $1,460,000. So I just thought it was important to note that, because when we get to the reserve discussions at the back end of the warrants, I'll come back to those numbers with some comments. Thank you.
Thank you. So now's the opportunity for a broader discussion of this. Do we have anyone who has any questions or discussion regarding Article 3? I think someone, I saw one hand raised there. Sir, if you're ready. If not, I believe we have another individual who's perhaps ready to go. Why don't we start with the lady who's in the jacket? And I would ask everyone to please state your name, because we do have I guess a YouTube stream. And for people who are not present here, it's helpful for them to kind of see who's talking and so on. Thank you.
Yeah, Pam Brown from Kingston. Hi, everyone. I just had a quick question. so that folks at home would know this. We have some important unmet needs here, such as the track resurfacing. Couldn't we use the capital reserve funds if the board approved that to fund some of these projects? Thank you.
Do we have anyone on the board who would like to address that?
Yes, we could. And we could even use current year appropriation if the school board approves it.
Thank you. Yes, sir. It looked like you had a question or comment.
Quite honestly, as my wife will attest, I didn't really hear what your question was. What'd she ask about?
Okay. And
I don't want to be repetitive.
no, I understand that's fair enough. And it maybe we have the typical kind of high-tech audio issues. The question was, could funds from the capital reserve be used for one or more of the things like resurfacing the track?
Ah, yes. Well, that's what I was going to ask about is why I don't fully understand why that is listed. It's not in the operating budget. Why that specifically with the running track, which I would like to comment on as well. Do I get to do that now?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. I would be in favor of finding some way of getting that money into the budget in some fashion. You're the experts on that. Reason being, that track is used not only by the community, perhaps some of you yourselves use it, but we have the athletic teams, not only track or cross country, other teams have used it as well. I would also keep in mind, we have a high school and a middle school gym classes that, weather permitting, use that part of our facility as well. So it gets used quite a bit by a lot of people. The problem that I would foresee, and this has happened down in Timberlane, because we've seen it there, and as I recall, last year, Timberlane asked to use our track because theirs had deteriorated so much they couldn't use it. That before things get too bad, we invest a little money up front as opposed to big money later on. So I would ask everyone to take a wise second look at that. Oh, I'm Michael Gannon from Kingston.
Thank you, Mr.
I was
Gannon.
supposed to say that.
Yes, you were, but thank you. That's great. Do we have anyone on? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I do want to make sure that everyone understands that in my superintendent's proposed budget, there were 3 items that were included in that presentation that have been lovingly called Tom's Big 3 at this point. One is the track, one is the auditorium, and the other one is the wireless infrastructure. It's our belief that the track actually should get done at the conclusion of this school year prior to the adoption of this budget, and that it should be paid for out of either the year-end funds or the capital reserve funds that Pam Brown talked about, because I actually don't think that we should wait until the end of next year, Mr. Gannon. I think that we should do it now. And so the board has agreed to have a conversation and get quotes about those things and make a decision toward the end of the school year. So I would say that those 3 things are on the table for discussion sooner than later. But they have not been decided yet formally by the board. We're just in the research phase. Did I summarize that accurately? I'll look to the chair if you feel like that was good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments regarding this article? Seeing there are none, Article 3 will go on the ballot as presented.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes,
I move to restrict reconsideration of Article 12.
that's fine. Do we have a second?
Article 3.
Article 3. Do we have a second? Second. Okay, so let me just explain this briefly for the benefit of people who may be watching us who are not familiar with this process. As a deliberative body, that is you, the voters, have the ability to discuss and make amendments about these warrant articles. And unless you choose to do so, you have the right to do that throughout the evening. In other words, you could theoretically come back and say, wait a minute, we want to go back again and rethink, a warrant article we went through before. You also have the ability to decide not to do that. And that's one of the few decisions you can make as a group of voters that's a kind of a one-way decision. That once you've decided you're not going to come back to an article during the course of the evening, that's it. You can't reverse that decision. but it's a common decision to make because that lets everyone move forward without any issue in their heads of, is later on in the evening, is somebody going to say, hey, why don't we go back to an article and revisit it? So that's the concept. It's called a motion to restrict reconsideration, because by voting in favor of that, then we've agreed we're not going to reconsider it, and it will therefore just end up on the ballot to be voted at on election day. So any discussion on that or questions about it from the voters? Seeing none, we're going to have a voice vote on this. We'll try it. Usually goes on a voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes carry it. So it has been the reconsideration has been restricted for Article 3.
Mr. Baker.
Mr. Baker.
Can't do it.
And we occasionally, we do have to recognize, we have to accurately, Ms. Kennedy has to record the sort of what happened accurately. And so if we pause for a moment to do that, don't be surprised. Article 4. So since we've said we're not going to reconsider it, we're on to the next article and we're not going back. Simply. Okay, Article 4. So this is the support staff collective bargaining agreement. Shall the Sanborn Regional School District approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement for support staff reached between the school board and the Sanborn Regional Education Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at current staffing levels over the amount paid in the prior fiscal year. And it's a table for each year. It has an estimated increase. For the first year, 2022-2023, the estimated increase is $159,890. For the second year, 2023-2024, the estimated increase is $96,809. For the third year, 2024-2025, the estimated increase is $94,544. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $159,890 for the 2022-23 fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those of the appropriation at the current staffing levels. That was recommended by the Budget Committee, in favor 8, opposed 0, recommended by the Sanborn Regional School Board, in favor 7, opposed 0. I believe we'll have someone who from the board or the Budget Committee who would like to speak to that.
Yeah, that's me.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
So this agreement covers our paraprofessionals, speech therapists, secretarial staff over a 3-year term. All parties came to the table knowing that the district had a need to reset the pay matrix for support staff. Given the current economic conditions, the district has been unable to fill open positions, particularly of the paraprofessionals. This has led to our being unable to fully implement the intended intervention programs. Changing an existing pay matrix is not an easy task. All parties work together to make it happen. The administration, as well as the collective bargaining agreement. No parties got what they wanted, all they wanted anyways. And we did achieve what the district needed, and that was resetting it. So we've gone from 13 steps to 10 steps. We reset the entry pay levels to help us attract new employees. We changed the differentials between the steps. We reset how we handle off-step staff. We increased the employee contribution to healthcare to help fund these changes. So that went from a 12% contribution to a 14% contribution. And we increased the base pay by 2% for years 2 and 3. None of these were easy tasks to achieve for the negotiating committee, but all of us kept the focus on the district needs to find a way to get there, and we worked together to achieve that. So all sides work together to provide the district with an agreement that allows the district to meet its staffing and educational needs, as well as protecting the interest of our taxpayers and our staff. So I strongly urge the voters to support this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from any board members on the topic? Okay, other comments and discussions from the voters and questions about this? Oh, I'm sorry.
Cheryl Gannon from Kingston. Can you explain why the first year of this contract is so significantly higher than the next 2 years?
Either way.
Who'd like to take that question? Mr. Angel?
The first year, the salary schedule is completely reset. Okay. And then also moving a lot of the people onto that salary schedule. So it's completely redoing the pay matrix. For years 2 and 3, it's just a straight 2% change to that salary schedule. So the impact occurs only in the first year for that major change. Okay.
You know, Pam.
Pam Brown, Kingston. I heard the 2% base pay increase mentioned, but did you negotiate a COLA, cost of living adjustment? Because inflation's been pretty bad this year, and if so, how much?
What's it?
Take it.
Cost of living agreement.
Jay, you wanna take that one?
Yeah, I'll take that. So the COLA was the 2% in the out years. The resetting of the matrix in year 1 was to address the reality of our pay levels not being sufficient in the marketplace in order to attract talent. So it was a combination of working with the staff that exists today with the different levels of seniority in that staff and coming up with a matrix that gave us a much better starting position. So the starting position actually went from 1309 to 15 and change for an opening position at the lowest level for the paraprofessionals, for example. So that was addressed in the resetting of the matrix and the resetting of the initial opening wage.
Thank you. Other questions or discussion on Article 4? Seeing none, Article 4 will be placed on the ballot as written.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
make a motion to restrict reconsideration of Article 4.
Do we have a second? Yes, we do. Thank you. Again, this is motion to restrict reconsideration. Do we have any comments or discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes carry. So there will be no reconsideration of Article 4. Article 5, titled Special Meeting Support Staff Collective Bargaining Agreement. Shall the Sanborn Regional School District, if Article 4 is defeated, authorize the governing body to call one special meeting at its option to address Article 4 cost items only? This is recommended by the Sanborn Regional School Board, 7-0. Who would like to speak to that?
Sure. So this is basically saying that this article will allow, though won't require, that the board can set up a meeting to renegotiate the monetary aspects of the contract if warrant Article 4 is defeated at the polls. The wording and the terms and conditions stay the same, but the dollar values associated with the monies identified in Article 4 could be renegotiated. Basically, it's a fallback position to provide a possible option for proceeding if the contract fails at the polls.
Thank you. Any other comments from board members tonight? Questions? From the voters, any questions or comments regarding Article 5?
4.
Special meeting.
4.
That's 5.
Or
Yeah, that's
5,
5.
special meeting.
5.
We already did 4. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Article 5 will go on the ballot as presented.
Shut your mic off.
Article 6. Unanticipated Utility Costs Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the Sanborn Regional School District vote to establish an unanticipated utility costs expendable trust fund under RSA 198:20C for the purpose of funding unanticipated utility costs and to raise and appropriate up to $75,000 to be placed in the fund. Such sum to come from June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1, with no additional amounts to be raised from taxation, i.e. the funds will not lapse to the general fund to offset taxes. And further, to name the school board as agents to expend from this fund. Recommended by the Budget Committee, in favor 8, opposed 0. Recommended by the Sanborn Regional School Board, in favor 7, opposed 0. Mr. Fitzpatrick, Mr. Fitzpatrick is, I think, the designated question answer here.
Yes, this is correct. So this is trying to address the realities of inflation, just referenced by Dr. Brown when she was up there on the labor side of the house. This is talking about the utility side of the house. So just some quick numbers. West Texas crude oil as of yesterday was $89.36 a barrel. 12/31/20 it was 48.52. So oil's gone up 84% in a little bit more than a year. Electricity, if you look at that comparison, couple different ways to measure electricity. Kilowatt hour, December 21 to December 20 is up 11%. The cost of pipe gas delivered per therm is up 19%. So these are significant cost increases. Those types of cost increases aren't fully factored into the budget. We don't know what's going to happen with oil prices or utility prices. We do have some rate changes that have happened, but there's also some adjustments in the out months, so we don't really know. We thought it would be prudent to put this into a trust fund for these particular items for utilities, oil, electricity, in order to be able to balance out needs and to be able to tap into these funds should this inflation get us to a point where we don't have enough funds. Else we would have to tap other line items in the budget to be able to cover those costs, because you can't have lights out and you can't have no heat. So that's why we set it up. In the warrant article, you'll see that it's zero tax impact. The reason that it's a zero tax impact listed on the article is the funding would come from unexpended funds, and those have already been taxed and paid for. So the balance has already been taxed. If the funds were instead returned to the taxpayers, then there would be, instead of going to this, then there would be a decrease for the taxpayers of 4.5 to 6 cents, depending on whether you're Kingston or Newton, which comes out to about $13.50 to $18 per $300,000 house.
Thank you. Other questions, discussions, or comments regarding Article 6?
Michael Gannon, Kingston. I just want to clarify in my mind what you were saying about the funding for this. Or are you looking to take unspent monies to fund this $75,000? That's the first priority. And then you're saying that if there is no leftover money at the end of the year, that an article would be presented or to the community?
No, so the way that we've been funding our warrant articles to increase the reserves is that funding is coming out of unexpended funds. So we have unexpended funds, generally speaking, and I think that Ms. Gagnon showed that in the prior data set. There's averaging $1 million in the last couple of years, skewed a little bit high because of COVID into 2 million range, but there's generally speaking going to be some unexpended funds. And what we're saying is this money to fund these would come out of those unexpended funds. As they are warrant articles, these would be the first things that the unexpended funds would be dedicated to.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Ms. Gannon.
Cheryl Gannon, Kingston. The article says up to $75,000. How do you decide how much money to put into that fund? And then just a second question, can you explain what it means that the funds will not lapse to the general fund to offset taxes?
You want that, Ma, or do you want me to do it?
I can take it.
Okay.
So the amount of money that's going to be in there is an estimation above what we've anticipated in the operating budget. And so the warrant article is really meant to be a way to help smooth out the tax rate. So if we are able to deal with the increases within the operating budget, then the money rolls over to the next following year without further taxation of the taxpayers, and can be used for that particular purpose in the following year. So when it means by non-lapsing, it just means that it just carries over and can be spent without a deadline.
Yeah, you want to do it?
I'm sorry?
How do you decide, if up to 75,000, how do you decide how much is going to be put into it?
75,000 is, when you look at heating oil, electricity, and propane, and looking at the fluctuation of the rates, and when you're building the budget, you've got to determine like an estimated rate. And so I try to use an inflated rate that's a reasonably inflated rate for like heating oil and electricity, but this brings it up to a much higher balance. So right now I'm buying heating oil at $2.19 a gallon. I think I made the budget at $2.50, but this could cover up to a $3 increase. I'm sorry, $3 per gallon for heating oil.
So if I could comment on that also.
Yeah, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
I think what Ms. Gagnon is asking is, it says up to 75. So are you going to be putting in $25, or are you going to be putting in $75,000 at the end of the period? And the intent is, if this article is improved, that we would fully fund it to the $75,000, presuming that there's at least $75,000 available in unspent funds at the end of the year.
That's correct.
If I'm understanding the question right.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm actually going to, can I just say,
Yeah.
Mr. O'Shaughnessy made a point, a lot of these warrant articles that are written for this purpose are approved by the DRA. So that language up to is part of the DRA language. And so that's why we do that, because it allows us to put, if there's only 45,000 left at the end of the year, 45,000 could go into the account. But Mr. O'Shaughnessy made a little comment and I thought I should share it with everyone.
That makes sense. I got that. Okay, so any other questions or comments regarding Article 6? Seeing there are none, Article 6 shall be on the ballot as presented.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
make a motion to restrict reconsideration of Article 6.
Second.
We have a second on that. This is again we've been through these before. Motion to restrict reconsideration. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes carry. So it will not be reconsidered.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
did we, maybe we can have Phyllis check, did we restrict reconsideration on Article 5?
No.
Yes.
No.
We did
I
not.
think Article 5 has any money to acquire it.
Did not. We
Have to do that, or,
we restricted 3, 4, and just restricted 6. We did not restrict 5. Someone could move for that if they so desire.
I don't know if we have to or not, but I just wanted to clarify.
You could, if you want.
Doesn't
You
matter.
must move to restrict reconsideration of Article 5.
Second.
Again, this is probably limited discussion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes carry. So that will restrict reconsideration of Article 5 regarding the special meeting. Onwards to Article 7. This is the Device Protection Plan Revolving Fund. Shall the Sanborn Regional School District vote to establish a student device revolving fund in accordance with RSA 194:3C for the purpose of supporting, maintaining, and replacing student electronic devices? The money received from Technology Protection Plan dues shall be deposited into the fund and shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year, and shall not be considered part of the district's general fund balance. Withdrawal and disbursement of said funds shall be on a monthly basis for the purposes for which the fund was created. There's a note here that a majority vote is required. That's the vote of the voters in March. It is recommended by the Budget Committee in favor 8, opposed 0, recommended by the Sanborn Regional School Board in favor 7, opposed 0.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, I think that's going to be yours as well.
So in plain terms, this is a car insurance plan for electronic devices, or if you prefer, an extended warranty. So parents or guardians can choose to join or not join the plan at their discretion. For those who join, any damage to the device is paid by the plan. No deductibles. Anybody that doesn't join, any damage to the device is paid by the parent or the guardian or the child, I suppose, if they make the child pay. So really, it's parents have to make the determination if little Jimmy or little Susie are prone to break things, it might be wise to take out the insurance plan. If they're not, it might not be wise to. But it's completely up to the parents. There's no obligation and there's no mandated fee. It is a insurance plan that you can choose to participate in or not.
Other questions and discussion regarding this article?
Good evening, John Beebe, Kingston. It's the first time I've heard of this plan, which I think it's a good plan. I guess my question would be two questions. One, seeing how this is a new plan, do we have any historical tracking of other schools and how successful the plan was?
Yes, this is modeled after a successful plan at the Timberlane School District.
Okay. And number two, how successful were they in chasing down the individuals or parents who destroyed equipment or did not take care of it and were unable to recover those funds?
Thank you for asking. It's important to note that our tech department does a fantastic job with that already. The point of this program is that you would actually pay the fee at the beginning before damage. And then once the device is damaged, the plan would cover the repair costs. Currently, our district is just servicing the computers without any kind of plan. So this is really a move in a positive direction. Mr. Beebe, I hope I answered your question, but I think what I would say is that I don't know the answer personally of how Timberlane did with that, but I know that our district and our team, and I'm looking at our tech director in the back, Mr. Parks, does a fantastic job following up with students and making sure that devices are taken care of and managed.
So that's for the, sorry, just to be clear, so I understand it. Hopefully everybody else does as well. And I'm not judging the individual's ability to manage the tech department in any way.
No, it's fine.
So for the parents who are willing to fund for their children, that's great. And for the parents who are unwilling to fund, is that funded through the budget?
Yeah.
Or are they is it just unprotected equipment? And then we rely on the tech department to.
Thanks. I'm going to step out and let Mr. Angel explain that part a little bit more.
So if the parents don't participate in the program, they're responsible for 100% of the damages to the machine. So as they are right now. If, say, for example, a student smashes a screen and a screen costs $100, the parent's going to pay $100. However, if the parent opts into the program before the damage and say the insurance amount is like $40, they're only out of pocket $40.
Got it.
And the fund would pay for the damage to the screen.
So in essence, it's definitely improvement over what we have today because we don't have that protection and we give people the opportunity to minimize damage or loss, correct?
Yes, that is exactly correct, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments regarding Article 7? Seeing there are none, Article 7 will go on to the ballot as presented.
How did you know?
I'm looking over there because I'm
My
guessing
job
I'm
is-
going to get.
I have a job tonight. No, okay. Mr. Moderator, make a motion to restrict reconsideration of Article number 7.
You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes carry. So it is, Article 7 is restricted and will not be reconsidered. Article 8, Capital Reserve Fund Unanticipated Educational Expenses. Shall the Sanborn Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate up to $50,000 to be placed in the Capital Reserve Fund Unanticipated Educational Expenses established at the 2019 annual meeting. This sum to come from June 30 fund balance available for transfer in July 1 instead of returning the money to the community to offset taxes. No amount to be raised from taxation. Recommended by the Budget Committee, in favor 7, opposed 1. Recommended by the School Board, in favor 7, opposed 0. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, this article is to expand the reserve fund for unanticipated education expenses. You know, basically we need to we need sufficient reserves to manage through periods when unexpected events occur. The taxpayers have been very generous in the past with supporting the building up of reserves, which were previously unacceptably low. This warrant would take the reserve for this item from about $200,000 to about $250,000. And then the same comments about the tax. It's zero tax because it's currently going to be coming out of unexpended funds, and those have already been created by taxes, so no new taxes are being created. And it's a pretty de minimis number if you actually if you determine how much you'd reduce the taxes. You're talking 3 to 4 cents per thousand, depending on whether you're in Newton or in Kingston.
Mr. Moderator, can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
What's de minimis mean?
It doesn't amount to much.
I was just saying that to be funny. I'm just kidding.
Occasionally, I think
Those who may not know, I wanted to.
Okay,
ask.
occasionally we have the educational spirit of the people on the behind us jump to the fray, or they're just teasing each other. Sometimes it's a little hard to know, but it's a pretty small amount relative to the overall tax rate.
Correct.
Yes.
That would be the summary of what they're saying. Okay, any other discussion from the board members to each other, or anyone else who has a question or comment on this? To the voters, questions or comments? Seeing there are none, this article will go on to Article 9. My apologies. Article 8 will go on to the ballot as presented. On to Article 9. Capital Reserve Fund.
The moderator.
Okay,
Didn't turn
there
to
you
me
go.
this
Go
time.
away. Go. I know what is coming at me.
Make a motion to restrict reconsideration of Article number 8.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes carry. We will not reconsider Article 8. Article 9, Capital Reserve Fund, Capital Improvement and Maintenance. Shall the Sanborn Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate up to $50,000 to be placed in the Capital Improvement and Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund previously established? This sum to come from June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1, instead of returning the money to the community to offset taxes. No amount to be raised from taxation. Recommended by the Budget Committee, in favor 8, opposed 0. Recommended by the School Board, in favor 7, opposed 0. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
So same comments basically as warrant Article 8. On this particular fund, the Capital Reserve Fund, Capital Improvement and Maintenance, would go up to about, I got the wrong number there. It would go up another 50,000. If all three of these reserve trust warrant articles pass, we would add 175,000 in reserves to the 915,000 we have in reserves now. Get us a total of $1,090,000, which is 2.9% of the budget. When you add the revenues coming in from the SLC, from the rental of the old middle school, it would get us to approximately 3.2% of the budget. 3% was a number that we've been targeting, saying at a minimum, we need about 3% in reserves. So this would go a long way towards helping us get to the reserves. Also, from the Capital Improvement, Capital Maintenance Fund, we can use these reserves and start factoring this into the capital improvement plan as we are developing that plan and spending it in conjunction with these reserves that we're creating for the plan. By getting us to where we need to be, it'll help us to get our reserves where we need them and to allow tighter budgeting and better preparation. Thank you. The number would be 325,000. It's additional 50,000.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, or discussion from board members or our voters?
Hi, Elizabeth Beebe from Kingston. My only question for this is on Articles 7, 8, and 9. Do we have a priority on those if the capital fund, if there's enough not enough to cover all three? How do we distribute the funds?
Who would like to speak to that?
I would.
Mr. Angel.
Currently with revenues that are coming in right now, just the surplus revenues alone are going to fund these three. Yeah, they're in order by priority. Okay.
Yeah, is that a helpful answer? Yeah, thank you.
We'll have them on.
Okay, so any
Moderator.
other comments, discussion, questions regarding Article 9?
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
Yeah. I won't be on the board next year, obviously, but I think the board would probably look at the vote. I would suggest that's a good way of looking at it. And based on what the people would want, based on the vote, whichever got the most, would probably be the one that I would make that suggestion to the board. I won't be here. So to me, that's a good way of saying, how do you prioritize? Let the people decide. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Good comment. Thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding Article 9? Seeing there are none, Article 9 will go on the ballot as presented.
Mr. Moderator. This is my last time.
Okay, that's all right. Well, let's do it. Let's do
You
it.
know, I don't know whether this was a gift to me because I'm leaving or, but
Okay.
my wife is very happy, by the way. This is my last time. All right. I make a motion to restrict reconsideration of Article number 9.
Second. All in favor?
Get good.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carry. Now, we're at the end of the list of the warrant anyway. And so at this point in time, there is a very brief opportunity if there is a topic of non-binding interest that someone in the voters wants to bring up. This would be the moment for that. Other than that, we're going to be looking for a motion to recess our meeting until the second session when we all vote at the polls on Election Day. Ms. Gannon.
There we go. I'm not going to get up to the podium. I'm going to stay here as a member of the Budget Committee, outgoing member, and I would like to just thank any of our school board members, well, those who are continuing to serve, to appreciate, thank you for your service, and those who are outgoing, also thank you for your service. I know that this is a big sacrifice to families. These people put a lot of work and a lot of hours into helping to run this school district. So I just want to say thank you and good luck.
Thank you. So do we have a motion to conclude our meeting for today?
Motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. And if I may say one thing as maybe the safety conscious old guy, is it's gotten colder while we've been inside, and there's probably a few patches of ice you're going to find in the parking lot or maybe even in your road on the way home. So drive safely and walk safely. Thank you very much for coming.